It is my distinct honor to speak tonight at this event, at this convention, but I will try to speak a bit in an unconventional way. On my way here, I was speaking with the ambassador, with Her Excellency, and with her daughter, who is also present, and I was telling them about our magnificent city of Belgrade, about its beauties, about how much there is to see and explore. And then, when I sat here, I actually thought to myself, well, there is one thing missing in Belgrade. One thing that would signify a shared vision between our two nations, one thing that would also signify the shared values between our two nations. One thing that would be very important for us is to celebrate the blessed memory of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was a great man, a man who reconciled opposing sides in a very, very polarized era, in an era of oppression, in an era in which people were subjugated and oppressed, and we in Serbia know what it means to be oppressed, and we know what it means to be unfairly treated by sometimes the world, sometimes ourselves between us. And Nelson Mandela is an example of a man who overcame such things, who with his vision fought for freedom, fought for a different type of a world, different type of a society. This is why I will propose officially as the Minister of Foreign Affairs to the Mayor of Belgrade to name one of the streets in Belgrade after Nelson Mandela. And I believe it's a debt of gratitude that we owe to this great man who brought the torch of freedom to more than just South Africans. I will just use a couple of seconds to give two of his quotes I like. One on courage and fear. He said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." And then on resilience and perseverance, he said, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell and got back up again." And I think in this country and in every country and in our own lives, we can benefit from the timeless wisdom of this great man. Now, this may sound as a side note, but it is very much reflective of how we see and how we perceive in Serbia our South African brothers and sisters. My first trip to South Africa was actually when I accompanied President Tomislav Nikolić to the funeral of President Nelson Mandela back in 2013. And I will forever remember the passion and energy and love by the people of not just South Africa, but tens of thousands of people from across the world who were gathered at that stadium to honor his memory. So in working today on our practical cooperation, we are merely attempting to fill in the shoes of the great ancestors before us who knew the value of solidarity that was mentioned here by Her Excellency, who knew the value of upholding principles of the UN Charter, whose anniversary we are celebrating this year, by the way, the 80th anniversary, and it should be more alive than ever. And one of the things that you will hear being mentioned by President Aleksandar Vučić in 2 weeks' time at the UN General Assembly session is again to reiterate this year, just as we did last year in his speech, our support for the expansion of the UN Security Council to include countries from the African continent, to include greater representation of people from this part of the world. We are immensely grateful to the people of South Africa and the government of South Africa for standing with Serbia in our times of need, and the fact that we have such a big community in South Africa is a testimony to the fact that they opened their doors for us when we were in times of trouble, but also for standing with us on the question of our territorial integrity and sovereignty in the case of Kosovo and Metohija. Kosovo and Metohija is for us not just about 13% of the territory, and it's not just about articles of the UN Charter. For us, this is the question of the soul of our nation. It is the question of our identity. It is the question of answering the most fundamental, actually, question for every community, and that is who we are. And that is why we are so much appreciative for you being on our side. I wish to state in front of you that we will support the work of the Honorary Consulate. We are very glad to have such remarkable representative of South Africa here who is truly appreciated universally in this society. And I'm sure that together with his family, with his wife, they will do a great job in representing your country and serving as a bridge between our societies. I also want to thank our gracious host, Dr. Vlada Cizelj, for being a living testimonial to the fact how governments and successful companies can work together in true diplomacy, in modern day diplomacy, and set an example how we should, in a productive way, in a mutually beneficial way, find economic avenues for cooperation. And finally, I wish that we, in the coming period, increase our not just G2G cooperation, but that we see as many citizens from South Africa in Belgrade and our people visiting the beautiful land of South Africa, and that we, for the generations to come, for the many generations to come, cherish the heritage of our friendship that was left by those who lived before us or worked before us. In this world in which there are so many challenges, hostilities, there is one certainty, and that is the friendship between Serbia and the nations of Africa. Friendship between Serbia and South Africa, distinguishing itself as one of the best among them. I thank you all for coming, and long live the friendship between our two nations. Thank you very much.